What I will try to do is to make this presentation in two parts. The first part of the reflection will be on the rights discourse. The rights discourse as we understand it in our times, with the institutions, with the covenants, with the instruments of justice, recognizing that its history and its ideology and its philosophy comes and is very rooted in the Enlightenment Western liberal discourse. And it is becoming, friends, increasingly clear that the concepts and the categories that is enshrined in this rights discourse is becoming more and more violent, and that we cannot, those categories and concepts are insufficient to grasp the violence of the times. Because we live in very violent times, times in which our collective and community memories are dying, times in which our many dreams are turning into never-ending nightmares, and the future increasingly fragmenting. Times that are collapsing the many life visions. We heard our friends from the indigenous peoples that are collapsing the many life's visions into one single cosmology. And this one single cosmology that has created its own universal truths of equality, development, peace, truths that are inherently discriminatory, even violent. Times that have created the globalized world order that dispossesses the majority, desacralizes nature, has destroyed whole cultures and civilizations, and denigrates the woman. Times in which the war on terrorism that Kamel spoke about, a la Pax Americana, brings a time of violent uncertainty and of brutal wars. Wars for resources, oil, water, diamonds, minerals, wars of occupation, times that are giving us new words, collateral damage, embedded journalism, preemptive strike, rendition, military tribunals. Think about it. Unmanned drones. This is what you have in Afghanistan today. But these are not only new words, but they are new words soaked in blood. Times in which the dominant political thinking, institutions, and instruments of justice are hardly able to redress the violence that is not only escalating, but also intensifying. Times in which progress presupposes the genocide of the many and the genocide of women. Times in which human rights have come to mean the rights of the privileged and the rights of the powerful. And for the masses to have human rights, they must surrender the most fundamental human right of all, and that is the right to be human. Times in which, friends, the political spaces for the other is diminishing, even closing. And the world, it seems, is almost at the end of its imagination. Because the South, and I mean South here is the global South, has for too long accepted a world that has hegemonized its cultures, has accepted a cosmology and a worldview that is constructed of what has come to be known as universal values. I think we must challenge in a very deep way this whole notion of universal values. A cosmology whose ideological, philosophical, and political roots were embedded in the very specific historical conjuncture and context of the West. What qualified it then to be termed universal? The vision of the world in which the center was Europe and later North America and later the West or the North, as we want to say, encapsulated all other civilizations into its Western frames. It reduced the cultural diversities, all our cultural diversities, into a flat schemata called civilization. It made universal the specific historical experiences of the West. It said to us that what was relevant to the West was relevant and had to be a model for all the world. All then that was Western simply became the universal. And every civilization, and worse, every system of knowledge came to be defined and compared vis-a-vis this paradigm. It minusculed then all social totalities into the one single model, all systems of science into one mega science, all systems of medicine, of indigenous medicine, into one imperial medicine, all knowledges to one established regime of thought, all development to gross national product, to per capita income, to patterns of consumption, patterns of industrialization, and now the ICTs. All were reduced to the Western self-image of economic man, of Homo economicus, with all needs that were commodity defined. And we know that Homo economicus has never been gender neutral. So a universal world order that subjugated the women and which in its dominant motive was patriarchal, a universal world view that has subsumed the civilizations of the world in its Eurocentric mode and which has been deeply racist. Not too long ago, a few weeks ago, I was with the Zapatistas in Chiapas. It was a great privilege for me. And as I remember there, the Zapatistas taught us that the mountain speaks and that we must listen to the wind. And so I ask you today to listen to the wind as I try to draw, and this is the second part of the presentation, as I try to draw a political imaginary. I start with the South and I say, can there be different ways in which we can understand the South?